The morning sun filtered through our Seattle kitchen, casting golden streaks across the hardwood floor. The air smelled of fresh coffee and waffles, a comforting ritual that anchored our Tuesdays. Daniel, my husband, stood at the stove, his steady hands pouring batter into the waffle iron, shaping it into stars for Ava, our 9-year-old daughter. "Starlight breakfast for my starlight girl," he said, his voice warm with that playful lilt I'd fallen for years ago. Ava, perched at the counter, laughed, her blue eyes sparkling like his. I was slicing apples for her lunch, tucking a handwritten note into her bag. "You make the world brighter," a tradition Daniel and I shared. Our home hummed with the quiet joy of routine, the kind you don't notice until it's gone. By midday, that joy would shatter, replaced by a grief so sharp it would redefine my world. I'm Emily Harper, 34, a mother, a widow, a woman piecing together what family means after betrayal. Last Tuesday, Daniel, the heart of our home, died of a sudden stroke at 38. The loss hit like a tidal wave, leaving Ava and me gasping in its wake. But what carved a deeper wound was the indifference of my own family. When I called my parents, my voice broken with sobs, my mother's response was a cold dismissal. "We're in the middle of Claire's birthday party, Emily," she said, laughter echoing behind her. "Can we talk tomorrow?" If you've ever felt abandoned by those meant to love you most, my story is for you. Share where you're reading from. Join others who know this pain, and let's find strength together. That morning felt like a gift, wrapped in the ordinary. Daniel, in his worn flannel shirt, was quizzing Ava on her spelling words between waffle flips. "You're gonna ace that test," he told her, ruffling her hair. I smiled, juggling my coffee and Ava's lunch bag, already thinking about my book club at the Seattle Public Library. I ran it weekly, a haven for stories and connection. Daniel, a marketing strategist, was buzzing about a new campaign, his passion for ethical advertising infectious. He kissed Ava's cheek, then mine, his lips lingering a moment longer. "I'll be home early for the art fair," he promised. "Get the good syrup, Em. Real maple, none of that corn syrup junk." I laughed, not knowing those words would be his last to me. Simple. Perfect. A thread in a tapestry I thought would never unravel. At 10:29 a.m., my phone buzzed on the library counter. I was arranging chairs for the book club, the scent of old pages grounding me. The caller ID showed an unknown number. It was Jessica, Daniel's assistant, her voice shaking. "Emily, Daniel collapsed in a meeting. The ambulance is taking him to Harborview." My heart stopped. The world blurred. A book slipped from my hand, its thud echoing like a gunshot. I stammered an excuse to a colleague, grabbed my purse, and ran to my car. The drive to Harborview Medical Center was a frantic prayer, my hands trembling on the wheel. "Please, God, let him be okay," I whispered. "I'll give anything, just don't take him." But some prayers go unanswered. I stumbled into the hospital at 11:12 a.m., my breath ragged. A doctor approached, her eyes gentle but heavy. "Mrs. Harper, I'm so sorry. Daniel had a massive stroke. We tried everything, but he passed at 11:05. The words were a foreign language, refusing to settle in my mind. I shook my head, as if denial could rewrite reality. "I need to see him," I said, my voice barely audible. In a quiet room, Daniel lay under a white sheet, his face serene, yet impossibly still. His chest didn't move. His warmth was slipping away. I touched his cheek, waiting for his eyes to flutter open, for his grin to break the silence. But there was only stillness, a void where his laughter used to be. In that moment, I learned the weight of forever. The hours that followed were a fog of forms and questions. Burial or cremation? What music for the service? Did he have a favorite tie? Each decision was a fresh cut, forcing me to face a future without him. I called our neighbor Sarah to get Ava from school, delaying the moment I'd have to break her world. How do you tell a 9-year-old her father is gone? How do you say the man who shaped her waffles into stars won't ever hug her again? I drove home, the Seattle rain streaking my windshield like tears, bracing for the hardest conversation of my life. Ava climbed into the car after school, her backpack heavy with art supplies. "Where's Daddy?" she asked, her voice bright with expectation. He's coming to my art fair, right? I pulled over on a tree-lined street, the weight of her hope crushing me. I turned to her, taking her hands. Ava, something terrible happened. Daddy got very sick at work today. His brain stopped working, and the doctors couldn't fix it. He died this morning. Her face froze, her eyes searching mine for a lie. But he was fine, she said, her voice small. He made stars. I nodded, tears falling. I know, sweetie, but sometimes even doctors can't help. Daddy's gone. Ava's cry was a sound I'll never forget, raw and piercing, like the universe itself was grieving. She collapsed into my arms, her small body shaking. I want Daddy back, she sobbed. Please, Mommy. I held her, my own grief merging with hers, as the world moved on around you, scars honking, leaves rustling, life indifferent to our loss. That night, Ava slept in my bed, clutching Daniel's flannel shirt, its faint scent of cedar, and him a fragile tether. I sat on the bathroom floor, the door shut, and let my own sobs come. The pain was a living thing, clawing at my chest, stealing my breath. I needed my parents. They'd been married 40 years, weathered their own losses. They'd know what to say. I called their Miami home, my hands trembling. My mother answered, music and chatter in the background. Emily, we're at Claire's 35th birthday bash, she said, her tone light. Can I call you later? I forced the words out. Mom, Daniel died today. A stroke. He's gone. Silence. Then a muffled sound. Her hand over the phone. When she spoke, her voice was softer, but distracted. Oh, Emily, that's horrible. Are you sure? Maybe it's a mistake. I saw him, I said, my voice cracking. He's dead. Another pause. This is awful, but we're in the middle of the party. Caterers. Guest scan, you hold on until tomorrow? We'll drive up. I hung up, the phone slipping from my hand. Claire's birthday, a glitzy affair in Miami's South Beach, mattered more than my husband's death. My father didn't call back. Instead, he sent a text. So sorry, Emily. Was Daniel's insurance current? The question was a betrayal. Cold and transactional. Friends texted condolences. Daniel's colleagues offered to bring meals. Our neighbor, Sarah, dropped off a lasagna. But my parents, my blood, chose celebration over sorrow. As I lay beside Ava, her soft breaths uneven with grief, I felt the stirrings of resolve. Daniel's love is photography, his star-shaped waffles, his unwavering presence would guide us. The Seattle rain drummed outside, a steady rhythm, and I whispered to Ava, "We'll carry Daddy with us. Always." Our journey through grief, betrayal, and healing had begun. To understand the depth of my loss, you have to know the love that shaped it. Daniel wasn't just my husband, he was my compass, my laughter, my home. In the days since his sudden stroke stole him from our Seattle life, I've clung to memories of him, his gentle voice, his unwavering kindness, the way he made every moment brighter. I'm Emily Harper, 34, navigating a world without the man who made it make sense, while raising our 9-year-old daughter, Ava, through her own grief. The betrayal of my family, my parents, Richard and Linda, choosing my sister Claire's birthday party in Miami over my heartbreak cuts deep. But to grasp why their absence hurt so much, you need to know the love Daniel and I built. A love that still guides Ava and me through this darkness. If you've ever loved someone with your whole soul, or lost them too soon, this story is for you. Share where you're reading from, and let's honor those who've shaped us. It began in a crowded lecture hall at New York University, fall of 2009. I was 20, a literature major struggling through a required marketing course. Daniel, a graduate student and teaching assistant, stood at the front, explaining consumer behavior with a passion that made even charts feel alive. His hazel eyes caught mine when I fumbled a question about branding. Instead of moving on, he stayed after class, sketching diagrams on a napkin, his patience a quiet gift. "You've got this, Emily," he said, his smile crinkling the corners of his eyes. That smile became my anchor. We started meeting for coffee at a Greenwich Village cafe, talking about books, dreams, and the stars he loved to photograph. On our first date, we lay on a blanket in Central Park, stargazing. "You're my North Star," he whispered, and I knew I'd found something rare. Daniel's kindness wasn't just for me, it was who he was. He volunteered at a Brooklyn youth center, teaching kids photography, showing them how to see the world through a lens. I fell for his heart, generous, steady, always seeking the good. By our junior year, we were inseparable, hiking the Catskills, sharing late-night pizza, writing dreams in a shared journal. When he proposed on graduation day, hiding a ring in my diploma case, I didn't hesitate. "Let's build a life," he said, kneeling in Washington Square Park. At 23, we married in a small Brooklyn chapel, ignoring friends who warned us to live a little first. Daniel was my life. I wanted every adventure with him. We moved to Seattle after Daniel landed a job at a marketing firm, drawn to its progressive campaigns. He thrived, crafting ads that told honest stories, earning clients' trust with his integrity. I found my place running a book club at the Seattle Public Library, fostering community through stories. Our Capitol Hill apartment became a haven, filled with Daniel's photographed sunsets over Puget Sound, Ava's first steps, my laughter caught mid-moment. He wrote me letters every anniversary, sealing them in a wooden box he carved himself. "For when we're old and gray," he'd say, kissing my forehead. I read those letters now, his words a lifeline through the grief. Each one a reminder of a love that felt invincible. Our greatest challenge came when we tried to start a family. We dreamed of a child, imagining Daniel teaching them to ride a bike, me reading bedtime stories. But the journey was brutal. 2 miscarriages left us hollow. The silence of an empty nursery deafening. We poured savings into IVF, only for it to fail, draining us emotionally and financially. I remember nights on our balcony, Daniel holding me as I cried, his voice steady. "We're enough, Em, you and me. But if we get a miracle, we'll love them fiercely." We considered adoption, researching agencies, when I got pregnant with Ava. The pregnancy was fraught bed rest for 3 months, constant fear. Daniel worked from home, bringing me tea, reading poetry to my belly, his hand on mine. "Our little star's coming," he'd say, and I believed him. When Ava arrived, Daniel wept harder than I did, cradling her tiny body like she was spun glass. "She's perfect," he whispered, his tears falling onto her blanket. For 9 years we were a trio, unbreakable. Daniel coached Ava's soccer team, learning drills on YouTube despite knowing nothing about the sport. He never missed a school play or parent-teacher conference, his calendar color-coded with Ava's events. He'd dance with her in the living room to old jazz records, twirling her until she squealed. His photography captured it all: Ava's gap-toothed grin, our hikes in Olympic National Park, the way she'd fall asleep on his chest. Those photos line our walls now, a gallery of a life cut short, each frame a testament to his love. Daniel's career soared, but he stayed grounded. At his firm, he was known for ethical campaigns, refusing to bend on principles. Clients loved him, not just for his skill, but for his genuine care. He'd spend hours mentoring interns, sharing coffee and advice. "Success means helping others shine," he'd say. That ethos shaped our home, too. We hosted book club potlucks, invited neighbors for game nights, built a community that felt like family. I thought my parents were part of that family, Richard and Linda, who'd raised me in Miami, who'd cheered my graduation. But their dismissal after Daniel's death showed me how wrong I was. Looking back, I see the threads of Daniel's love woven through everything. His annual letters, now my solace, reveal his heart. In one, he wrote, "Emily, you make every day a story worth telling. If I'm gone, keep writing our tale for Ava." I read it the night he died, after Ava fell asleep clutching his shirt. The pain was a storm, relentless, but his words were a lighthouse. Our hikes in Olympic National Park, where he'd point out constellations, taught me resilience. "Stars don't stop shining, even in the dark," he'd say. Now I hold that truth, guiding Ava through our loss. The betrayal of my parents choosing Claire's Miami birthday bash over my grief stings, because Daniel valued family above all. He'd call my mom to share Ava's milestones, send my dad fishing photos. Their absence now feels like a rejection of him, too. But Daniel's legacy isn't in their hands. It's in Ava's laughter, in the photos he left, in the book club I run, where stories heal. It's in the community that rallied around us when my family didn't, neighbors with casseroles, colleagues with condolences. As I face this new chapter, I carry Daniel's love, a flame that no loss can extinguish. Ava and I will write our story, honoring him with every step, proving that love, once forged, endures forever. Grief has a way of turning every memory into a question. What did I miss? Could I have saved him? In the weeks since Daniel's sudden stroke stole him from our Seattle home, I've replayed our life, searching for the signs we overlooked. I'm Emily Harper, 34, a mother to 9-year-old Ava, a widow learning to navigate a world without the man who was my everything. The betrayal of my parents, Richard and Linda, choosing my sister Claire's birthday party in Miami over my heartbreak, is a wound that festers. But the deeper pain lies in the moments I didn't act. When Daniel's fatigue seemed like stress. When his dizziness was just a busy week. If you've ever wondered what you could have done differently to save someone you love, this story is for you. Share where you're reading from, and let's find peace in the lessons loss teaches us. Daniel was always on the move, a vibrant force in our lives. At 38, he was the picture of healthier, so we thought. He ran with a local Seattle running club, pounding the trails around Green Lake, his laughter echoing as he raced Ava to the finish line. His marketing career demanded long hours, crafting campaigns that changed how people saw the world. But there were moments, small cracks in his energy, that I dismissed. A wince after a run, chalked up to a pulled muscle. A moment of dizziness at dinner, blamed on skipping lunch. "I'm just out of shape," he'd say, grinning, promising to hit the gym more. I nodded, trusting his strength, ignoring the whisper in my gut that something wasn't right. It started subtly, about a year before he died. Daniel would rub his temples after meetings, complaining of headaches. Too much screen time, he'd joke, popping an aspirin. I'd massage his shoulders, teasing him about needing glasses. We were so caught up in life, Ava's soccer games, my book club at the Seattle Public Library, our weekend hikes in Olympic National Park, that we didn't pause. At his annual checkup, the doctor noted slightly elevated blood pressure. "Normal for a guy your age with a high-pressure job," she said. "Cut back on coffee, get more sleep, maybe jog a bit slower." Standard advice, delivered with a smile. We took it lightly, promising to cook healthier, to stress less. But life doesn't wait for promises. Looking back, I see the patterns we ignored. Daniel's shortness of breath during a hike last summer, when he stopped halfway up a trail, hands on his knees. "Just need a sec," he said, waving me off. I handed him water, distracted by Ava's chatter about wildflowers. Or the night he woke up sweating, heart racing, blaming a bad dream. "Work's been nuts," he said, pulling me close. I believed him, because believing was easier than worrying. Daniel was our rock, the man who photographed sunsets, wrote me love letters, danced with Ava to jazz records. How could someone so alive be slipping away? I blame myself for not pushing harder. Why didn't I insist on a second opinion? Why didn't I drag him to a specialist when he brushed off his symptoms? Guilt is a relentless companion, whispering that I failed him. But I'm learning to silence it, to see that Daniel hid his struggles too. He hated worrying me, always shielding us from his burdens. In one of his letters, found after his death, he wrote, "I'd rather you see me smiling than scared. You and Ava are my strength." His love made him protect us, even from the truth. That realization doesn't erase the regret, but it softens it, like rain on a parched field. The morning of his stroke was deceptively normal. Daniel made star-shaped waffles for Ava, teasing her about her art fair. He kissed me goodbye, promising to be home early. "Real maple syrup, he called, his grin bright. Hours later, at 10:29 a.m., his assistant Jessica called, her voice trembling. Daniel collapsed. "The ambulance is at Harborview." I raced to the hospital praying, but he was gone by 11:05, a massive stroke stealing him before I could say goodbye. The doctors said it was unpredictable, that even perfect health couldn't have stopped it. But those words don't quiet the what-ifs that haunt me. In the days after, I began researching strokes, desperate to understand what took him. I learned they can strike without warning, even in the young and fit. Risk factors like stress, high blood pressure, or genetics. Daniel's father had a stroke at 60 can lurk silently. I wish I'd known then what I know now. That dizziness isn't always dehydration. That headaches can signal more than fatigue. I've since joined a stroke awareness group in Seattle, sharing Daniel's story at community events, urging others to listen to their bodies. It's a way to honor him, to turn regret into purpose. At one event, a woman hugged me, tears in her eyes. "Your story saved my husband," she said. "We got him checked because of you." That moment felt like Daniel's hand on my shoulder, guiding me still. Ava, too, carries the weight of missed signs. She overheard me talking about Daniel's symptoms and asked, "Why didn't Daddy tell us he was sick?" Her voice, small and searching, broke my heart. I knelt beside her, explaining that Daddy didn't want us to worry, that he loved us too much to share his fears. "He was protecting us," I said, "like he always did." Ava nodded, clutching a photo he took of her at Olympic National Park, her smile framed by evergreens. She started a daddy journal, writing him letters about her day, her way of keeping him close. "I told him I'm sorry we didn't know," she said one night. "Do you think he hears me?" I hugged her tightly. "I know he does, sweetheart, and he's proud of you." The betrayal of my parents makes these regrets sharper. When I called them, sobbing, after Daniel's death, they were at Claire's birthday party in Miami, unwilling to leave. My mother's words, "Can this wait until tomorrow?" echo in my mind, a reminder of their absence when I needed them most. Daniel valued family, always calling my parents to share Ava's milestones, sending photos of our hikes. Their dismissal feels like a rejection of his love, too. Yet, their betrayal has clarified what matters. Friends, neighbors, Daniel's colleagues, they've shown up, with meals, calls, and quiet support. They're the family we choose, the ones who honor Daniel's memory. As I navigate this grief, I'm learning to forgive myself for what I didn't see. Daniel's life wasn't defined by the signs we missed, but by the love he gave. His photographs, his letters, his laughter, they're the heartbeat of our home. At a recent book club meeting, we discussed a novel about loss, and I shared Daniel's story. The room fell silent, then filled with stories of others' regrets, their own missed signs. We cried, laughed, and healed together, a reminder that community catches us when blood family fails. Ava and I are building a life from this loss, advocating for awareness, cherishing Daniel's legacy. The stars he loved still shine, even in our darkest nights, and we'll keep looking up, guided by his light. There are moments in life that carve themselves into your soul, moments you know you'll carry forever. Telling my 9-year-old daughter Ava that her father was gone is one of those. Daniel's sudden stroke last Tuesday shattered our Seattle world, leaving me, Emily Harper, a 34-year-old widow, to navigate a grief so vast it threatened to swallow us. The betrayal of my parents, Richard and Linda, who chose my sister Claire's birthday party in Miami over my despair, added a bitter edge to our loss. But nothing compared to the weight of facing Ava's heartbreak, of finding words to explain that the man who made her star-shaped waffles would never come home. If you've ever had to guide a child through unimaginable loss, or felt the ache of their questions, this story is for you. Share where you're reading from, and let's hold space for the healing that love brings. The hospital room where Daniel lay still haunts Mayhe's face peaceful, his chest unmoving, the warmth fading from his hands. I drove home that afternoon, the Seattle rain blurring my vision, knowing the hardest task lay ahead. Ava was at school, her art fair just hours away, where she'd planned to show Daniel her painting of Olympic National Park, a place we'd hiked together. How do you shatter a child's world? How do you say her hero, her photographer dad who captured her every smile, is gone? I called our neighbor, Sarah, to pick Ava up, buying time to gather the fragments of my courage. My parents hadn't called back since I'd told them, their silence a deafening contrast to the support pouring in from friends and Daniel's colleagues. I was alone in this, except for Ava, who deserved the truth, no matter how much it hurt. I parked outside her school, my hands trembling on the steering wheel. Ava bounded out, her backpack stuffed with art supplies, her face lit with excitement. "Mommy, is Daddy here?" she asked, climbing into the car. "My painting's all set up for him." Her voice, so full of hope, was a knife to my heart. I couldn't drive, not yet. I pulled over on a quiet street, the cedar trees casting long shadows. Turning to her, I took her small hands, their warmth a lifeline. Ava, something very sad happened today, I began, my voice shaking. Daddy got very sick at work. His brain stopped working, and the doctors couldn't fix it. He died this morning. The words felt foreign, like they belonged to someone else's story. Ava's blue eyes, so like Daniel's, widened in confusion. But he was fine, she said, her voice barely a whisper. He made waffles. He promised to see my painting. I nodded, tears spilling down my cheeks. I know, sweetheart. It happened so fast. Sometimes even doctors can't help. Daddy's gone. Silence stretched between us, heavy and suffocating. Then her face crumpled, and a wail tore from her, raw and primal, as if her heart was breaking open. She threw herself into my arms, her small body shaking with sobs. I want Daddy, she cried. Please, Mommy, make him come back. I held her tightly, my own grief merging with hers, whispering, I'm so sorry, baby. I want him back, too. The world outside moved on, cars passed. Birds chirped but for us. Time stopped, frozen in that moment of shared devastation. We sat there, parked on that Seattle street, for what felt like hours. Ava's questions came in waves, each one a fresh wound. Can't they try again, like in the movies? She asked, her voice muffled against my shoulder. No, sweetie, I said, stroking her hair. When someone's brain stops like Daddy's did, they can't come back. But he's still with us, in our hearts. She pulled back, her eyes searching mine. Where is he now? Is he in the stars, like he said? Daniel's love for stargazing, his stories about constellations, flooded my mind. I think so, I said, my voice cracking. He's watching us, shining down. Ava nodded, clinging to that image, her small hand gripping mine as if letting go would unravel her. That night, we curled up in my bed, Ava clutching Daniel's flannel shirt, its cedar scent a faint echo of him. She fell asleep, exhausted, her cheeks stained with tears. I stayed awake, staring at the ceiling, the absence of Daniel's steady breathing a void I couldn't fathom. I'd started a daddy journal for Ava that evening, a notebook where she could write letters to him, a way to keep him close. She'd scribbled her first entry before bed. Dear Daddy, I miss you. Why did you have to go? I love you. Reading it, I wept, marveling at her strength, so young yet so profound. I joined a grief support group for parents at a local community center, hoping to learn how to guide her. At our first meeting, another mom shared how she helped her son paint memories of his dad. I decided Ava and I would try that, creating art to honor Daniel, a project to weave healing into our pain. The betrayal of my parents made Ava's heartbreak harder to bear. I called them again that night, desperate for their wisdom. My mother answered, the clink of glasses in the background. Emily, we're still at Claire's party, she said, her tone impatient. We'll come tomorrow, okay? I choked out. Daniel's gone, Mom. I need you. She paused, then said, This is awful, but we can't leave now. Claire's worked so hard for this. I hung up, stunned. My sister's 35th birthday, a lavish Miami event, mattered more than my daughter's loss. My father's text later, was Daniel's insurance up to date? Felt like a transaction, not comfort. Meanwhile, our community rallied. Sarah brought soup. Daniel's colleague Jessica offered to help with Ava's schoolwork, and my book club sent a care package of books for us to read together. Their kindness was a lifeline, showing me that family isn't always blood. Ava's grief evolved in the days that followed. She'd ask to see Daniel's photos, tracing his face in frames from our hikes in Olympic National Park. He's still here, right? She'd say, pointing to a picture of them laughing by a waterfall. I'd nod, tears in my eyes. Always, baby. She joined a children's grief group at school where she made a memory box, filling it with Daniel's old lens cap, a ticket stub from a Mariners game, and a star-shaped waffle mold. At home, we started a ritual of reading his annual letters to me, the ones he wrote each anniversary. Your dad loved us so much, I'd say, and Ava would smile, a flicker of light in her sorrow. Facing Ava's heartbreak taught me that grief is a shared journey, not a burden I carry alone. We're learning to hold Daniel's love alongside our pain, to let his memory guide us. At the grief group, I met a dad who said, Kids teach us how to grieve. They feel it all, but they keep going. Ava's doing that writing, painting, asking questions that break and mend my heart. My parents' absence stings, a reminder of their choice to prioritize Claire's celebration over us. But Daniel's love, captured in photos, letters, and Ava's resilience, is our true north. As we navigate this loss, I'm finding strength in our bond, in the community that surrounds us, and in the promise to keep Daniel's light alive for Ava, no matter how dark the days ahead. Betrayal doesn't always come from enemies. Sometimes it's the people closest to you who cut the deepest. In the wake of my husband Daniel's sudden stroke, as I grappled with grief and guided our 9-year-old daughter Ava through her heartbreak, I expected my family to be my refuge. Instead, they turned their backs, choosing my sister Claire's birthday celebration over our pain. I'm Emily Harper, 34, a widow in Seattle, learning that family isn't defined by blood but by who shows up when your world collapses. My parents, Richard and Linda, dismissed my loss with a callousness that still stings, their priorities laid bare in a single phone call. If you've ever been let down by those you trusted most, this story is for you. Share where you're reading from, and let's find strength in reclaiming our worth. Daniel's death left a void in our Seattle home, his absence echoing in the quiet kitchen where he once made star-shaped waffles for Ava. I was drowning in grief, holding Ava as she sobbed for her father when I reached out to my parents in Miami. I needed their wisdom, their embrace, their presence to anchor us. I dialed their number, my hands shaking, expecting comfort. My mother answered, her voice bright with party chatter. "Emily, we're at Claire's 35th birthday bash," she said, laughter in the background. "Can I call you later?" I choked out the words. "Mom, Daniel died today. A stroke. He's gone." There was a pause, a muffled sound as she covered the phone. Then her tone shifted. "But not enough." "Oh, honey, that's awful. Are you sure? We're in the middle of the party caterer's guests. Can you manage tonight? We'll come tomorrow." Her words landed like a blow, knocking the air from my lungs. Claire's birthday, a glitzy affair in Miami's South Beach, took precedence over my husband's death. I hung up, the phone slipping from my hand, stunned by the indifference. My father didn't call. Instead, he texted later that night. "Terrible news, Emily. Was Daniel's life insurance up to date?" The question was a cold transaction, reducing Daniel's life to a dollar amount while Ava and I wept. I sat on the bathroom floor, the door closed to shield Ava from my sobs, feeling utterly alone. My parents, who'd raised me, who'd danced at my wedding in New York City, had chosen a party over their daughter's grief. This wasn't new, though it took Daniel's death to make me see it clearly. Growing up in Miami, I was the responsible child, the one who studied hard, who ran my book club in Seattle with care. Claire, my older sister, was the golden child, her whims indulged while my efforts were expected. When I won a scholarship to NYU, my parents praised me briefly, then spent thousands on Claire's art school, which she never finished. My piano recitals were skipped for Claire's dance competitions, my birthdays overshadowed by her dramas. I'd accepted it, believing family meant sacrifice. But now, as I mourned Daniel, their favoritism wasn't just unfair, it was cruel. Claire, now a social media influencer in Miami, thrived on attention, her Instagram filled with curated glamour. She'd always been the center of my parents' world, their pride in her overshadowing my quieter achievements. When I told Ava her father was gone, Claire didn't call. She was too busy posting about her birthday, her posts glowing with hashtags like "living my best life," while Ava clutched Daniel's flannel shirt, asking why Daddy left. I'd hoped Claire, as a mother, might understand, but her silence spoke louder than words. My parents' dismissal wasn't just a moment of bad timing. It was a choice, a reflection of where I'd always stood in their shadow. The days after Daniel's death were a haze of grief and logistics. I leaned on our Seattle community neighbor Sarah, who brought soup, Daniel's colleagues who sent flowers, my book club, who left books for Ava. Their kindness was a stark contrast to my family's absence. I started a grief support group at a local community center, sharing Daniel's story, finding solace in others' losses. One night, I called my parents again, desperate for a shred of support. My father answered, his voice brisk. Emily, we're still sorting out Claire's event. Was Daniel's health an issue? You know, for the financials? I was speechless. My husband was dead, my daughter was broken, and he was thinking about money. He's gone, I said, my voice hollow. That's all that matters. I hung up, vowing to protect Ava from their coldness. The betrayal cut deeper because of Daniel's warmth toward them. He'd included them in our life, calling my mother to share Ava's milestones, sending my dad photos of our hikes in Olympic National Park. He'd believed in family, bridging gaps I'd left alone. Their dismissal now was a rejection of him too, of the love he'd poured into us all. I found a letter he'd written me years ago, tucked in his keepsake box. Family's everything, he wrote. Even when they hurt you, they hurt you. Hold on for the good moments. But where were those moments, those good moments now? My parents had chosen Claire's spotlight over our darkness. Ava's grief made their absence sharper. She asked why. Why didn't Grandma and Grandpa come? Her voice small as she wrote in her daddy journal. I struggled to answer, settling on, they're caught up in something else, sweetheart. But her eyes, so like Daniel's, saw through my evasion. They don't care about Daddy, she said, tracing his photo from a hike. I held her, anger simmering. I joined a parent advocacy group, learning to shield kids from family rejection, determined to be Ava's safe haven. We started a memory mural in our backyard, painting project inspired by Daniel's photography, where Ava to paint her feelings. She painted a star, saying, "This is Daddy, watching us." Her resilience fueled my resolve to redefine family. The community's support showed me what family could be. At the book club, members shared their own betrayal siblings who ignored their pain, parents who chose favorites. One woman said, "You don't owe them your heart if they break it." Her words echoed, empowering me to set boundaries. I texted my parents, "We need space. Please respect that." Their reply was a curt, "Fine, but think about what you're doing." But I was thinking of Ava's tears, Daniel's love, the neighbors who'd become our lifeline. I organized a community dinner, inviting those who'd shown up, a new tradition to honor Daniel's spirit of connection. This betrayal has reshaped me. I'm not the daughter who accepts neglect, who excuses love's absence. Daniel's loss revealed my strength, a fire kindled by Ava's needs and our community's embrace. I'm learning. As I learn to advocate for stroke awareness, sharing Daniel's story, I'm reclaiming my voice. At an event, I spoke of missed signs and family's indifference, my words raw. A man approached, saying, "Your story made me call family my estranged family. Thank you." Daniel's legacy lives in that moment, in Ava's courage, in my refusal to let betrayals define us. As we paint our mural, Right to Daniel, we're building a family one built of love, not obligation, chosen in love, chosen in actions. And to those who felt family's sting, I say, you're worthy of better. Hold tight to those who love you, truly love you, and let go of those who don't. Funerals are meant to bring closure, a moment to honor a life and find solace in shared grief. But Daniel's funeral, held 5 days after his sudden stroke, laid bare a truth I wasn't prepared for. The people I called family could wound me more than the loss itself. I'm Emily Harper, 34, a widow in Seattle, raising my 9-year-old daughter Ava through a heartbreak that reshapes us daily. My parents, Richard and Linda, and my sister Claire, who prioritized Claire's birthday party in Miami over my despair, showed their true colors at Daniel's service. Their detachment stood in stark contrast to the love poured out by friends, colleagues, and Daniel's sister, Sarah. If you've ever felt the sting of family's absence in your darkest hour, or found unexpected strength in others, this story is for you. Share where you're reading from, and let's celebrate the bonds that hold us up. The morning of the funeral dawned crisp and clear, the Seattle sky a cruelly vibrant blue, as if the world hadn't noticed Daniel was gone. Ava insisted on wearing her favorite green dress, the one Daniel said made her look like a forest sprite. "Daddy loved this dress," she said, her voice small but firm. I braided her hair, my fingers trembling, weaving in a tiny star-shaped clip Daniel had given her. We drove to the funeral home, a quiet space overlooking Puget Sound, where Daniel's photographs of our hikes in Olympic National Park adorned the walls. I'd spent days planning the service, choosing music he loved, Ella Fitzgerald's jazz, and a eulogy I wasn't sure I could deliver. Ava carried a small photo of Daniel, taken during a sunset shoot, to place beside his urn. "So he's with us," she whispered, and my heart ached with her courage. The room filled slowly, a testament to Daniel's impact. His colleagues from the marketing firm arrived, their dark suits a somber contrast to the vibrant stories they shared, Daniel's ethical campaigns, his mentorship, his infectious laugh. Friends from our book club at the Seattle Public Library brought handwritten notes, memories of Daniel's warmth at our potlucks. Neighbors, like Sarah, who'd become our lifeline, sat quietly, their presence a steady anchor. Daniel's sister Sarah had flown in from London, where she taught literature. She arrived the night before, exhausted from the 14-hour flight, her eyes red but resolute. She hugged Ava tightly, whispering, "Your dad was so proud of you." Her grief mirrored ours, a shared thread of love for the man who'd shaped us all. I'd reserved seats in the front row for my parents and Claire, hoping they'd show up as family should. They'd texted the day before, asking about the dress code black, or something colorful for a celebration of life. Their tone detached, as if planning for a social event. 20 minutes before the service, my phone buzzed with a message from my mother. Running late. Traffic from Miami was brutal. They arrived as the jazz began, slipping into the front row with a rustle of bags and apologies. My mother hugged me briefly, her perfume sharp and overwhelming. "The roads were a nightmare," she said, smoothing her dress. Claire, scrolling on her phone, barely looked up. My father adjusted his tie, glancing at his watch. Their entrance felt like an intrusion, not a comfort, their presence performative in a room heavy with genuine sorrow. The service began, and I felt Daniel's absence like a physical weight. A colleague spoke of his integrity, how he'd turned down lucrative but dishonest clients. A book club friend shared how Daniel's photography inspired her to see beauty in the everyday. Sarah took the podium, her voice breaking as she described their childhood, Daniel's knack for finding light in dark moments. Ava, sitting beside me, clutched her photo, her small hand in mine. When it was my turn, I approached the podium, my legs unsteady. Looking at Ava, so brave in her green dress, I found my voice. I spoke of Daniel's love, his star-shaped waffles, his letters to me, his unwavering devotion to Ava. "He taught us to shine," I said, tears falling, "and will keep his light alive." The room wept, a collective release of love and loss. My family, though, remained distant. My mother dabbed at dry eyes, her handkerchief a prop. Claire checked her phone, her fingers tapping silently. My father shifted, checking his watch again, as if Daniel's memorial was a meeting to endure. Their detachment was a cold truth, a mirror reflecting their priorities. In contrast, Sarah sat with Ava, holding her hand, their shared grief a quiet bond. Daniel's colleagues lingered after, sharing stories with Ava how her dad made work fun, how he kept her photo on his desk. "He loved you so much," one said. And Ava's smile, fragile but real, was a gift. At the reception in our home, the contrast deepened. Friends set up food, neighbors cleared plates, and Sarah organized a memory table with Daniel's photos. My parents and Claire sat in the living room, accepting condolences as if they were the primary mourners. I moved through the house, a ghost in my own space, thanking guests while holding back rage. I overheard my father by the coffee station, talking to a cousin. "Daniel was on the partner track," he said. "That life insurance must be substantial." The words stopped me cold. My husband's body was ashes, and he was calculating payouts. I wanted to scream, to demand how he could think of money today, but Ava's presence kept me silent. She needed me whole, not fractured by confrontation. Sarah, sensing my strain, took Ava to the backyard, where they added a star to our memory mural, a project inspired by Daniel's photography. "This is for Dad," Ava said, painting with care. Sarah's devotion, flying across an ocean to grieve with us, was what family should be. My parents, though, left early, citing a long drive back to Miami. "We'll call soon," my mother said, her hug brief. Claire muttered a goodbye, her eyes on her phone. They offered no help, no comfort, no acknowledgement of Ava's loss. As they drove away, I felt a shift to clarity that their love came with conditions I could no longer accept. The funeral's cold truth was a turning point. My community, Sarah, friends, colleagues became my family, their support a lifeline. I joined a grief advocacy group, sharing Daniel's story to help others navigate loss. At a meeting, I spoke of family betrayal, and a woman nodded, her own story mirroring mine. "You choose who stays in your circle," she said. And I took it to heart. Ava and I started a Starry Nights ritual, stargazing in our backyard, inspired by Daniel's love for constellations. "He's up there," Ava would say, and I'd hold her close, our bond stronger than any betrayal. My parents' absence, their choice of Claire's party over us, showed me who they were. But Daniel's love, alive in Ava's courage, in our mural, in the community that rallied, showed me who we could be. We're rebuilding, not on blood, but on love that shows up, and that's a legacy worth keeping. Grief can strip you bare, but betrayal sharpens your edges. 2 weeks after my husband Daniel's sudden stroke tore him from our Seattle home, I faced a new kind of pain, not just the ache of his absence, but the audacity of my family's greed. I'm Emily Harper, 34, a widow and mother to 9-year-old Ava, fighting to protect our future while honoring the man who was our everything. My parents, Richard and Linda, and my sister Claire, who chose Claire's birthday party in Miami over our grief, crossed a line I never imagined possible. They came to my door, not with comfort, but with a demand for Daniel's life insurance, as if his death were their windfall. If you've ever had to stand your ground against those who should love you most, this story is for you. Share where you're reading from, and let's find power in claiming what's ours. Daniel's death left our home quiet. The kitchen where he made star-shaped waffles for Ava now a shrine to memories. I was still reeling, helping Ava write in her daddy journal, painting our backyard mural to honor his photography, when the doorbell rang one gray Seattle afternoon. Through the peephole, I saw my parents. Richard straightening his golf shirt, Linda checking her lipstick in a compact mirror. My heart sank. I hadn't spoken to them since Daniel's funeral, where their detachment, Claire on her phone, my father eyeing his watch, had chilled me. Their texts since were generic. "Thinking of you. Asterisk. No apologies, no offers to help." I opened the door, unprepared for the ambush awaiting me. They swept into the living room, settling on the couch as if this were a casual visit. "We thought we'd check in," my mother said, her smile tight. "How's Ava? At school? Good. We can talk freely." Her tone, clipped and purposeful, set my nerves on edge. I made coffee, falling into the hostess role despite my exhaustion, though they should have been caring for me. As I set down the mugs, my father admired Daniel's new camera lens on the shelf. "Nice gear," he said. Daniel had good taste. The past tense stung, a reminder of his absence. I nodded, bracing myself, sensing this wasn't about grief. After awkward small talk me book club, their Miami garden club, my father cleared his throat, his signal for serious matters. "Emily, we need to discuss your situation," he began, leaning forward. "Your financial situation, now that Daniel's gone." I blinked, confused. "What do you mean?" My mother exchanged a glance with him. "With the life insurance, you're in a strong position. We're getting older, and our retirement took a hit in the last market crash. Healthcare costs are rising." The words hung heavy, their implication dawning on me. "Are you asking for money?" I said, my voice flat, disbelief rising like a tide. My father pressed on, undeterred. "We thought, given Daniel's success, you could help family. We're suggesting 60% of the life insurance payout. It'd secure our future, and there'd still be plenty for you and Ava." My mother nodded, her face a mask of faux concern. "And Claire could use 10%. Her influencer career is struggling, you know." 70%. They wanted 70% of the money meant to protect Ava's future, to honor Daniel's legacy. I stared at them, my coffee untouched, the audacity of their request a betrayal deeper than their absence at his funeral. "You've calculated this," I said, my voice trembling. "How do you even know the policy's value?" My father's smile was smug. "I have friends in insurance, Emily. It's a substantial sum." The violation of their research, their assumption that I'd comply, ignited a fury I'd never felt. Claire, they said, deserved a fresh start, as if her failed ventures trumped Ava's needs. I thought of Daniel's love, his ethical campaigns, his photographs capturing Ava's joy in Olympic National Park. This money was his promise to us, not their entitlement. Then I remembered a letter he'd written, found in his keepsake box after his death. It read. My dad's asked about investments twice. I said no. If I'm gone, protect Ava's future. Don't let them take it. He'd seen their greed even when I was blind to it. My anger crystallized, sharp and unyielding. You're asking for my daughter's security, I said, standing, my voice rising. Daniel died. Ava lost her father. And you're here 2 weeks later, treating his death like a lottery win? My mother flinched, but my father's face hardened. We raised you, Emily, he said. Paid for your MyU tuition, helped with your first apartment. We deserve consideration. The entitlement in his voice was a slap. You raised me to be selfless, I shot back. But this is vulture behavior. Daniel was worth more than your bank account, and you didn't even mourn him. They tried to argue. My mother's voice was soft, manipulative. We're just being practical, Emily. Family helps family. My father added. Claire's struggling. You've got more than enough. I laughed, a bitter sound. Claire, who didn't call when Daniel died? Who posted party photos while Ava cried? You chose her birthday over us. Now you want his money? The room crackled with tension. I thought of Ava, painting stars for her father, writing in her journal, her innocence a stark contrast to their greed. Get out, I said, my voice low but firm. Get out of my house. They stood, stunned. My father's face reddened. You're being unreasonable, he said. We're your parents. My mother reached for my arm, but I stepped back. You stopped being my parents when you put a party over my grief, I said. Daniel's money is for Ava, for the life he wanted for her. You'll never touch it. They left, my father muttering about respect, my mother's eyes wet with crocodile tears. I sank to the floor, trembling with rage and liberation. I'd stood up for us, for Daniel's legacy, in a way I never had before. That evening, I called Daniel's lawyer friend Michael, who'd handled our estate planning. He confirmed what I suspected. The life insurance and will were airtight, designating Ava and me as sole beneficiaries. Your parents have no claim, he said. Daniel made sure of that. Relief washed over me, mingled with sorrow. Daniel had protected us, even from my family's greed. I read his letter again. His words a shield. Protect Ava, he'd written, and I would, no matter the cost. The community that rallied around us neighbor Sarah, my book club, Daniel's colleagues, became our true family. I started a weekly healing circle at the community center, where we shared stories of betrayal and resilience. One woman spoke of cutting off her greedy siblings, her strength mirroring mine. Ava and I added to our backyard mural, painting a camera for Daniel, a symbol of his vision. She asked, Will Grandma and Grandpa ever love us right? I hugged her. We don't need their love, sweetheart. We have daddies and ours. I joined a financial literacy group, inspired by Daniel's ethics, to ensure Ava's future was secure. This betrayal was a crucible, forging me anew. I'm no longer the daughter who accepts neglect, who bows to obligation. Daniel's love, alive in Ava's courage, in our starry night stargazing, in the community that holds us, is my guide. At a stroke awareness event, I spoke of family greed, my voice steady. A listener thanked me, saying, You gave me courage to say no. Daniel's legacy lives in that courage, in our mural, in Ava's journal. To those facing family's demands, I say, You are enough. Protect your heart, your future, and build a family that earns your love. We're doing just that, one star at a time. Sometimes the smallest voices carry the greatest truths. 3 weeks after my husband Daniel's sudden stroke stole him from our Seattle home, my 9-year-old daughter Ava did something extraordinary. She stood up to my parents, Richard and Linda, and my sister Claire, whose greed and indifference had already wounded us deeply. I'm Emily Harper, 34, a widow learning to redefine family through love, not obligation, while guiding Ava through a grief that could have broken her. After my parents demanded 70% of Daniel's life insurance, dismissing our loss for their gain, Ava's courage in confronting them changed everything. If you've ever been inspired by a child's clarity or found strength in unexpected places, this story is for you. Share where you're reading from, and let's honor the bravery that reshapes us. The confrontation came at a family meeting in my parents' Denver home, a place I'd once associated with childhood summers but now felt like a battlefield. They'd summoned us, insisting we discuss matters like adults. I was wary, still raw from their demand for Daniel's money, their absence at his funeral, and their choice of Claire's Miami birthday party over our grief. But Ava, clutching a manila envelope, insisted on coming. "I need to be there, Mommy," she said, her blue eyes Daniel's eyes fierce with purpose. "For Daddy." I hesitated, wanting to shield her, but her determination, so like Daniel's, won me over. We drove to Denver, the Rocky Mountains looming, my heart heavy with dread. Ava sat quietly, her envelope a mystery, saying only, "It's something Daddy would want." The Denver house was filled with relatives, me Aunt Ellen, Uncle Tom, cousins I hadn't seen in years. My parents had invited an audience, perhaps thinking I'd bend under pressure. Richard sat in his armchair, presiding like a judge. Linda fussed with coffee cups, her smile forced. Claire perched on a sofa, scrolling her phone, her influencer facade intact. The room buzzed with tension as I stood, Ava by my side, her small hand in mine. "Let's be clear," I said, my voice steady. "Whatever you say, Ava hears. She's part of this." My mother frowned. "Emily, this isn't for children." I cut her off. "It's her future you're after. She has a right to know." My father launched into his pitch, his voice smooth but calculated. "We've supported you, Emily College, your first apartment. With Daniel's life insurance, you're set. We propose 60% for our retirement, 10% for Claire's career. It's fair." Claire looked up, smirking, as if my husband's death balanced some cosmic scale. I was ready to fight, to protect Ava's future, when Ava stepped forward, her envelope trembling in her hands. "I have something to say," she announced, her voice clear and strong, cutting through the room's murmur. Every eye turned to her, this small girl in a green dress, radiating a courage that silenced us all. My mother tried to dismiss her. "Sweetie, the adults are talking." But Ava stood firm, channeling Daniel's quiet resolve. "This is about Daddy," she said, "and what he'd want." She opened her envelope, pulling out a sheet of paper designed like an invoice, her careful handwriting bold. At the top, it read, "Family Love Receipt." Below were items, each a dagger of truth. Comfort when Daddy died. $0, not given. Helping Mommy when she cried. $0, not given. Hugs for me. $0, not given. Being real family. Priceless, not paid. Asterisk. She walked to my father, holding it out. "You came for money," she said. "This is what you earned." The room froze. My father's hands shook as he took the paper, his face paling. My mother's composure cracked, tears welling, though I couldn't tell if they were shame or manipulation. Claire stared, her phone forgotten, as if seeing Ava for the first time. The raw honesty of a 9-year-old's words landed heavier than any argument I could have made. Ava turned to them, her voice steady. "Daddy taught me that real family shows up. You didn't come when he died. You didn't help Mommy. You didn't ask if I was okay. You only came for his money." Her words echoed Daniel's values, his belief in love over gain, and I felt his presence in her strength. I'd learned of Ava's plan only the night before. Inspired by a school project on fairness, guided by her teacher, Miss Larson, Ava had spent days crafting her receipt. "Daddy said people need to see the truth," she told me, showing me her work. I was awestruck, torn between pride and fear for her heart. At a children's grief group, she'd shared her idea, and other kids cheered her on, giving her courage. "It's like Daddy's photos," she said, showing what's real. Her invoice was a masterpiece, a child's art turned weapon, exposing my family's failures with devastating clarity. The silence stretched, heavy with Ava's truth. My Aunt Ellen shifted uncomfortably, her eyes on the floor. Uncle Tom coughed, avoiding my father's gaze. My father tried to speak, his voice faltering. "Ava, we love you," he said, but it rang hollow. She shook her head. Love isn't just words, she said, echoing a lesson Daniel taught her. I stepped beside her, taking her hand. We're done here, I said. Don't contact us unless you can show real change. Ava deserves better. And so do I. We walked out, leaving my stunned family behind, the Denver air sharp against my skin. In the car, I hugged Ava tightly. You were so brave, I said, tears falling. Daddy would be so proud. Ava's stand was a turning point. Back in Seattle, we added a heart to our backyard mural, symbolizing her courage. I shared her story at our Healing Circle, a grief support group, and members wept, inspired by her clarity. Kids see what we hide, one said, and I nodded, marveling at Ava's wisdom. She joined a school art club, painting her feelings, her talent blooming like Daniel's photography. At a stroke awareness event, I spoke of Ava's receipt, urging others to stand firm against greed. A listener approached, saying, Your daughter gave me strength to cut off my toxic family. Daniel's legacy lived in her impact. In our starry nights stargazing, in the community that embraced us neighbor Sarah, Daniel's sister Sarah from London, our book club, my parents' betrayal ignoring our grief, demanding Daniel's money showed their true selves. But Ava's courage showed mine. I'm no longer the daughter who accepts neglect. I started a family redefined workshop, helping others build chosen families, inspired by Daniel's love. Ava wrote in her daddy journal, Dear Daddy, I stood up for us. I hope you saw. Asterisk, I know he did. To those facing family's betrayal, I say, listen to the small voices, the ones that speak truth. Ava's receipt was our declaration, a promise to live for love, not obligation, guided by Daniel's light, shining brighter than any greed could dim. Healing after loss is like tending a garden. You pull weeds, plant new seeds, and trust that life will grow again. In the months following my husband Daniel's sudden stroke, which stole him from our Seattle home, I learned that true family isn't defined by blood but by those who nurture you through the storm. I'm Emily Harper, 34, a widow and mother to 9-year-old Ava, rebuilding our lives with the love Daniel left behind. My parents, Richard and Linda, and my sister Claire, who chose Claire's Miami birthday party over our grief and later demanded Daniel's life insurance, showed me who they were. But Ava's courageous stand, her family love receipt at their Denver meeting, sparked a transformation not just in them, but in us. With Daniel's sister Sarah, his parents Ellen and Thomas, and our Seattle community, we're crafting a new family, rooted in love. If you've ever found strength in chosen bonds or rebuilt after betrayal, this story is for you. Share where you're reading from, and let's grow together. Daniel's absence is a constant ache, but his presence lingers in our backyard mural, Ava's daddy journal, and the photographs he took of Olympic National Park's sunsets. After Ava's bold confrontation, I expected my parents to double down, their greed unyielding. Instead, their silence gave us space to heal. Sarah, Daniel's sister, moved from London to Seattle, taking a teaching job at the University of Washington. Her apartment, filled with books and Daniel's old vinyl records, became our second home. I promised Daniel I'd be here, she told me, hugging Ava. She taught Ava to bake Daniel's favorite oatmeal cookies, their laughter filling the kitchen, a balm for our wounds. Sarah's choice to uproot her life was a testament to family done right, a contrast to my parents' absence. Daniel's parents, Ellen and Thomas, also stepped in, their love for Ava a direct extension of their son. They lived in Portland, a few hours away, but visited often, hosting Ava for summer art camps at the Oregon coast. Ellen, an artist, taught Ava to sketch seascapes, guiding her to channel grief into creation. Your dad saw beauty everywhere, Ellen said, watching Ava draw. Thomas, a retired carpenter, built Ava a small easel, engraved with a star for Daniel. Their visits filled our home with warmth, their stories of Daniel's childhood, his love for stargazing, his pranks keeping him alive. At a camp, Ava painted a canvas of stars, dedicating it to her dad. It's for our starry nights, she said, referencing our backyard ritual, and I wept at her resilience. Our Seattle community became our extended family, their support a lifeline. My book club at the Seattle Public Library organized a memory night, where we shared Daniel's photos and stories, laughing and crying together. Neighbors, led by Sarah, started a community garden in Daniel's name, planting Sunflower Shy's favorite for stroke awareness. I joined, digging soil with Ava, each seed a promise of growth. Daddy would love this, Ava said, her hands dirty, her smile bright. The garden became a gathering place, where strangers became friends, sharing their own losses. One man, planting a sunflower, said, "Your husband's story got me to check my blood pressure." Thank you. Daniel's legacy bloomed in those moments, a garden of impact. I launched a photography exhibit, *Daniel's Lens, at a local gallery, showcasing his work portraits of Ava, Puget Sound sunrises, our hikes. Each photo was paired with a story, raising funds for stroke education. At the opening, Ava read a letter from her daddy journal. "Dear Daddy, your pictures make people happy. I'm proud of you." The crowd applauded, tears in their eyes, and I felt Daniel's pride. I also started a podcast, Healing Through Loss, sharing stories of grief and resilience inspired by our healing circle. Listeners wrote in, their words echoing ours. "Your story helped me choose my family." The podcast became a bridge, connecting us to others, proving love transcends loss. Ava's school play was a milestone. She played a star in a production about constellations, dedicating her role to Daniel. "This is for Daddy," she told me, her green dress sparkling under stage lights. I sat with Sarah, Ellen, and Thomas, our chosen family, cheering as Ava shone. Afterward, she hugged me, whispering, "I felt him watching." Her growth, from a grieving child to a radiant performer, was Daniel's gift. She joined an art club, painting murals for local shelters, her talent a legacy of her father's vision. At a club meeting, she said, "Art helps me talk to Daddy." Her words, wise beyond her years, taught me that healing is a journey, not a destination. My parents' betrayal ignoring our grief, demanding money left scars, but their silence post-Denver gave us room to rebuild. I expected manipulation, but instead, they retreated. I focused on Ava, strengthening our bond through starry nights, where we'd stargaze, sharing memories. "Daddy's up there," Ava would say, pointing to Orion. And I'd nod, holding her close. I started a Family Redefined workshop, helping others navigate toxic family dynamics. Participants shared stories of cutting ties, their courage mirroring mine. One woman said, "Your daughter's receipt inspired me to stand up to my parents." Ava's impact rippled, a testament to Daniel's values. Our community garden grew, a symbol of renewal. We hosted a harvest festival, inviting our chosen family. Sarah baked with Ava, Ellen sketched the event, and Thomas built benches. Book club members brought pies, and Daniel's colleagues shared stories of his campaigns. Ava led a tour, showing her sunflowers. "This is for my dad," she said, her voice proud. The festival was a celebration of life, not loss, proving family is who shows up. I spoke at the event, thanking our community. "Daniel taught us love is action," I said. "You're our family now." The crowd cheered, and I felt Daniel's warmth, his legacy alive in every seed, every smile. Rebuilding wasn't easy. Some nights, grief overwhelmed me, the absence of Daniel's laughter, a physical pain. But Ava's courage, Sarah's presence, and our community's love carried us. I consulted Michael, Daniel's lawyer friend, to ensure Ava's future was secure. "Daniel planned well," he said. "Your parents can't touch it." That assurance freed me to focus on healing. At a podcast recording, I shared Ava's stand, urging listeners to protect their worth. A listener emailed, "Your story gave me strength to say no to my family's demands." Each message was a star in our constellation, guiding us forward. As months passed, we found a new rhythm. Ava's art club projects, our garden, my podcast, they were threads weaving a new life. Sarah planned to stay in Seattle, her bond with Ava unbreakable. Ellen and Thomas promised more visits, their love a steady anchor. At a starry night, Ava said, "I think Daddy's happy we're okay." I hugged her, tears falling. "He is, baby. And he's with us." Rebuilding with true family, those who love without conditions, has been our salvation. To those healing from betrayal, I say, choose your garden, plant your seeds, and let love grow. Ava and I are doing just that, guided by Daniel's light, shining brighter than ever. Loss reshapes you, but love rebuilds you. A year after my husband Daniel's sudden stroke stole him from our Seattle home, I've learned that healing isn't about erasing pain, but weaving it into a life of purpose. I'm Emily Harper, 34, a widow and mother to 9-year-old Ava, who's taught me courage through her grief. My parents, Richard and Linda, and my sister Claire, who chose Claire's Miami birthday party over our sorrow and later demanded Daniel's life insurance, forced me to redefine family. Ava's family love receipt in Denver was a turning point, sparking tentative change in them and unshakable resolve in us. With Daniel's sister Sarah, his parents Ellen and Thomas, and our Seattle community, we've built a new dawn, guided by Daniel's love. If you've ever risen from betrayal or found hope in loss, this story is for you. Share where you're reading from, and let's embrace the light together. The first anniversary of Daniel's death fell on a quiet Tuesday, the Seattle sky heavy with clouds. Ava and I drove to Yosemite National Park, Daniel's favorite place, where he'd photographed granite cliffs and starry skies. We sat on a bench by Half Dome, the air crisp, his absence a gentle ache. "Daddy loved it here," Ava said, clutching a photo he'd taken of us hiking. I nodded, tears falling. "He's still with us, baby." That year had been a crucible grief, betrayal, and rebirth. My parents' initial silence after Ava's stand gave way to a handwritten letter delivered on our anniversary. "We've been wrong," they wrote. "We let greed blind us. We're in therapy, hoping to earn your trust." It was raw, specific, not demanding forgiveness but offering change. I tucked it away, cautious but open, a seed of possibility. Claire's journey was slower. Her anger, fueled by jealousy, had flared on social media, painting me as selfish. But months later, she emailed, her words unguarded. "I've envied you forever, Emily," she wrote. "Your strength, Daniel's love it made my insecurities scream. I'm sorry." We met for coffee in Seattle. The air tense but honest. "I want to be better," she said, her eyes meeting mine. It wasn't a full repair, but a crack in the wall, a chance for something new. Ava, hearing of it, said, "Maybe Aunt Claire can learn, like Daddy taught us." Her compassion, so like Daniel's, reminded me that love leaves room for growth, even after pain. Our healing bloomed in community. Sarah, now settled in Seattle, was Ava's rock, baking cookies, teaching her chess games Daniel had promised to share. Ellen and Thomas, from Portland, filled our home with stories, their love for Ava a bridge to Daniel. At a summer art camp, Ava painted a mural for a community center, her strokes bold. "It's Daddy's stars," she said, and Ellen cried, seeing her son's spirit. Our community garden, planted in Daniel's name, thrived with sunflowers, a beacon for stroke awareness. I tended it with Ava, our hands in the earth. Each bloom a testament to resilience. Neighbors joined, sharing their losses, making it a sanctuary of connection. I expanded Daniel's Lens, the photography exhibit, into a traveling show, raising funds for stroke education. At a Portland opening, Ava spoke, her voice clear. "My dad's pictures show love," she said. "We're helping people so they don't lose their dads." The crowd stood clapping, and I felt Daniel's pride. My podcast, Healing Through Loss, grew, listeners sharing stories of chosen families. One wrote, "Your courage helped me leave toxic ties." Each episode was a letter to Daniel, a promise to live fully. I started a Legacy Letters project, encouraging others to write to loved ones, inspired by Daniel's annual notes to me. At a workshop, a man read his letter to his late wife, tears falling. "You gave me a way to keep her close," he said, and I knew Daniel's love rippled outward. Ava's 10th birthday marked a new chapter. We hosted a starry night party in our backyard, under a canopy of lights, with Sarah, Ellen, Thomas, and our community. Ava, in her green dress, led a toast. "To Daddy, who's watching," she said, raising a glass of sparkling juice. We danced to Daniel's jazz records, laughter mingling with tears. Ava gave me a painting of family under stars, Daniel's silhouette faint but present. "We're okay," she whispered, and I hugged her, marveling at her strength. She performed at a school talent show, reading a poem for Daniel, her words a beacon. "You taught me to shine," she read, and the audience wept, her courage a light in our darkness. My parents' transformation was cautious but real. They sent Ava a telescope for her birthday, aligning with her love for Daniel's stargazing, a thoughtful shift from their past generic gifts. They asked to visit, respecting my boundaries. We met at a Seattle park, Ava with her daddy journal, me watchful. They focused on her, asking about her art, listening. "We're trying," Linda said softly, and I saw sincerity in her eyes. Richard nodded, quieter than before. "We want to be better." Ava, ever wise, said, "Daddy said love means showing up." I agreed to monthly visits, a probation of trust, their actions not words defining the path forward. Claire attended a family therapy session with them, a step I hadn't expected. "I'm unlearning jealousy," she told me later, her voice raw. It was a start, a fragile bridge we'd cross slowly. At a stroke awareness event, Ava spoke again, her poise stunning. "My dad's gone, but we're helping others," she said, earning applause. I launched a community writing program, Stories of Strength, inspired by Ava's journal, helping kids process grief through words. A participant wrote, "Your daughters showed me I'm not alone." Ava's impact, like Daniel's, was a constellation, guiding others. On our Yosemite trip, Ava and I scattered wildflower seeds, a nod to our community garden. "For Daddy," she said, the wind carrying her words. We reflected on our journey grief's raw edges, betrayal's sting, love's redemption. "I think Daddy's proud," Ava said, skipping a stone across a creek, a trick he'd taught her. "He is," I said, my heart full, "and I'm proud of you." Our new dawn isn't perfect. Grief still visits, a quiet guest. But it coexists with joy. Sarah's laughter, Ellen's sketches, Thomas's stories, our garden's blooms there, our family, chosen by love. Daniel's legacy, his photos, his values, his love shapes us. The life insurance, untouched except for Ava's education, is his promise, not a prize for greed. I've learned forgiveness is a choice, not an obligation, and boundaries are love's framework. At a podcast recording, I shared our story, urging listeners to define their worth. "Choose who lifts you," I said, and emails poured in, stories of new dawns. To those healing from betrayal, I say, plant your garden, write your story, love fiercely. Ava and I are living proof that loss can lead to light. As we left Yosemite, Ava took my hand. "We're a good team, Mommy," she said. "The best," I replied, Daniel's stars shining above, guiding us home. A year ago, my world shattered on a Seattle morning when a phone call told me Daniel, my husband, had collapsed. By the time I reached Harborview Medical Center, he was gone, taken at 38 by a sudden stroke that left no room for goodbyes. I'm Emily Harper, 34, a widow and mother to Ava, our 9-year-old daughter whose heart broke alongside mine. The pain of losing Daniel, his star-shaped waffles, his photographs of Olympic National Park, his love letters tucked in a keepsake box was compounded by a betrayal I never saw coming. My parents, Richard and Linda, and my sister Claire, chose Claire's lavish 35th birthday party in Miami over our grief, dismissing my desperate call with a promise to talk tomorrow. Their indifference, followed by a brazen demand for 70% of Daniel's life insurance, revealed a truth I'd long ignored. Family isn't guaranteed by blood. Yet, from this crucible of loss and betrayal, Ava and I have forged a new dawn, built on love, courage, and a community that became our true family. Daniel was my North Star, met in a New York University lecture hall, his patience and crinkled smile drawing me in. We built a life in Seattle, defying warnings to wait, marrying at 23, and weathering infertility's heartaches before Ava's miraculous arrival. His marketing career, rooted in ethics, and my book club at the Seattle Public Library were threads in our tapestry of love. But we missed his warning signs: dizziness, headaches, brushed off as stress until a stroke stole him, leaving Ava and me to navigate a world without his laughter. Telling Ava her father was gone, her wail echoing on a quiet street, was the hardest moment of my life. Her questions, "Can't they fix him?" and her daddy journal, where she wrote to him, showed a resilience that anchored me. My parents' betrayal deepened our wound. Their absence at Daniel's funeral, where Claire scrolled her phone and Richard checked his watch, contrasted with the tears of Daniel's colleagues and the devotion of his sister Sarah, who flew from London. When my parents demanded Daniel's money, citing their support for my NYU tuition, I saw their greed clearly, fueled by years of favoring Claire, the golden child whose influencer dreams eclipsed my efforts. Their audacity, researching the policy's value, was a violation I couldn't forgive. I kicked them out, Daniel's letter warning of their intentions my shield. But it was Ava's stand in Denver, her family love receipt, listing their failures, zero comfort, zero hugs that silenced them, her child's clarity exposing their shame. From that moment, we rebuilt. Sarah moved to Seattle, baking with Ava, teaching her chess, honoring Daniel's promises. Ellen and Thomas, Daniel's parents from Portland, filled our home with stories, guiding Ava's art at summer camps. Our community neighbors, like Sarah, book club friends, Daniel's colleagues became our family, planting a sunflower garden for stroke awareness, hosting memory nights with Daniel's photos. I launched Daniel's Lens, a traveling exhibit of his photography, and Healing Through Loss, a podcast sharing stories of resilience. Ava's murals, her school play as a star, her speech at a stroke awareness event, they were Daniel's legacy, shining through her courage. We started Stories of Strength, a writing program for kids, inspired by her journal, helping others process grief. My parents' transformation was slow but real. Their letter, raw with regret, and their therapy showed effort. Monthly park visits, gifts like Ava's telescope, proved they were listening. Claire's apology, admitting jealousy, opened a fragile door. Ava's compassion, maybe they can learn, like Daddy taught us, guided me to offer cautious trust, defined by their actions. In Yosemite, by Half Dome, Ava and I scattered wildflower seeds, reflecting on our journey. "Daddy's proud," she said, skipping stones. And I knew she was right. Our new dawn isn't flawless. Grief lingers, a quiet companion, but it lives alongside Joy Sarah's laughter, Ellen's sketches, our garden's blooms, Ava's art. The lesson from our story is profound. True family is chosen, not owed, and your worth is defined by the love you cultivate, not the obligations you endure. Daniel's death and my family's betrayal taught me that love is action showing up, listening, protecting what matters. Ava's receipt, our community's embrace, Sarah's move, they showed that family is built on mutual respect, not entitlement. In a world that often demands loyalty to blood, this lesson is a call to courage. Choose who lifts you, set boundaries with those who don't, and build a life that honors your heart. For today's audience, this means evaluating relationships with clarity. If family drains you, demanding time, money, or emotional labor without reciprocation, pause. Ask, do they show up when I need them? Do they value my boundaries? If not, it's okay to step back, as I did, texting my parents for space. Protect your energy, like I protected Ava's future, consulting a lawyer to secure Daniel's legacy. Invest in those who nurture you, friends who bring soup, colleagues who share memories, mentors like Sarah who choose you. Start small. Host a dinner, like our community garden festival, to connect with your chosen family. Share your story, as I did on my podcast, to find others who understand. If you're a parent, foster your child's voice, as I did with Ava's journal and art, letting their truth guide you. Embrace purpose to heal. I turned grief into action exhibits, advocacy, writing programs because Daniel's love demanded it. Find your outlet. Volunteer, create, advocate for a cause like stroke awareness. Write a legacy letter, as Daniel did, to anchor your loved ones. And hold space for growth, as I did with my parents, but only when actions prove change. Ava's compassion taught me that love leaves room for redemption, but not at your expense. In a fast-paced world, prioritize connection over obligation, courage over conformity. Our story, Ava's stars, Daniel's light, our chosen family proves that from loss and betrayal, you can rise, building a dawn where love, not pain, defines you. Stand tall, choose wisely, and let your heart lead you home.